Hello, I am Michaela Campos, and this is my juvenile delinquency presentation. No money, no problem. What effect does poverty have on juvenile delinquency in single parent households? This is meant to look into the research that has previously been conducted to bring attention to one of the factors that could be a root cause in the rate of juvenile delinquents in America. Family instability in childhood and crime offending during the transition into adulthood, an article by Stacy Bozick and Paula Fomboy talks about how boys with intact family do not engage in delinquent activities at the rate that those who do not. The consequences of a family routine being disrupted due to issues that are happening, especially when they are unresolved. In this case, they lead to more intense criminal issues that appear in adulthood as well. It is not until marriage that there is a difference in these boys typically. The more change, both in structure and stability, can lead to more likely experience of finding themselves in situations that will lead to the fall of their own families in the end. Stability does have different effects when it comes to white versus black. Black boys do not have the same reactions to the change as white boys, meaning they are less likely to turn to delinquency due to the issues with familial structure. This is interesting because it brings in a factor that could be affected by poverty, a subcategory in this topic. It brings more insight into the differences in people's lives and how there can be cultural differences that play a part in causing instability in the home. Again, I would like to mention that it is interesting that it is not until men are married that they will begin to turn away from the delinquent things that they partook in during their adolescent years. This does not mean marriage is the answer to fixing or changing them. It is simply a transition point in their lives. The Annie E. Casey Foundation's research on child well-being in single-family households gives the definition that they used of children in single-parent households, which reads as children under the age of 18 who live with a parent who is not married, even if that parent lives with a significant other. It is through these demographics that they obtained the information about how there are nearly 24 million children who live in such households, most of them living solely with their mothers. They also found that there is a difference when it comes to race and ethnic backgrounds, with Black and Native American children being at the top of the list at 64% and 52% respectively, and by state and city finding the low of 21% in Seattle and the high of 71% in Cleveland. The focus of the negative impacts that this has on the kids, and that nearly 30% of them live in poverty. The transition from having both parents to a single parent can cause a disruption to the child's life, affecting their schooling and where they live, on top of the parent being stressed out as well with the change. Children in these situations are more likely to have physical, mental, and behavioral issues that can cause difficulties that will follow them into adulthood. Single mothers may have the additional challenges of depression, a common side effect of the recent divorce that can negatively impact their ability to parent. This article gives examples and numbers while also explaining solutions and not making the situation of children in single parent households living in poverty a hopeless situation. It also acknowledges that the parents are suffering from mental illness, and it does not write them off as wholly abusive and neglectful when they are simply doing their best. If poverty causes crime and the incidence of broken homes is greater among the poor, then broken homes might be incorrectly blamed for causing crime. This quote is from Family Structure, Single Parent, Poverty, Theory, Development, and Children. This article brings together that there is a correlation between delinquency and broken homes, or homes with a single parent. There also has been some correlation between broken homes and poverty. It is a cycle, and this article points it out point blank through bringing together information from outside sources, such as the boys in St. Louis that live in broken homes are no more likely to partake in delinquency than those that have two parents at home every night. However, family conflict can promote behavior that could land them in the system. This article also points out that there are issues when it comes to single parents getting help when it comes to childcare. The parents have to work to keep the house and feed their children, but they cannot afford a babysitter. However, leaving your child unattended is a big no-no in the bigger scheme of things. Being unsupervised can lead to being exposed to things that they are not ready for or getting seriously hurt. It is not the parents' fault, though, because they have to provide despite the seemingly impossible conditions. Factors contributing to juvenile delinquency. Socioeconomic factors are contributors, seeing as it is more common in impoverished neighborhoods. This could be due to the kids feeling they need to commit crimes to survive. Theft, truancy, and other crimes such as these could be because they feel the need to help the family. They do not have the resources readily available, and one income in this economy is not cutting it. The pressure on the children is almost as severe as it is on the parent. There is also the parental and adult influence, which, as previously discussed, is extremely important for children and adolescents. However, with single parents having to work all hours of the day and night, this makes it impossible to be at home when the children are. And when you are already struggling to pay the bills and feed your kids, paying someone to watch your children is out of the question. There is more to living in poverty in a single income household than just getting a job and budgeting well. There are bosses that are jerks, overdraft fees, water leaks, injuries, and other unexpected things that you just cannot account for at all times. You cannot save money when you are constantly paying back the bank $30 extra for every bill that comes out the day before your paycheck hits the total amount. Understanding and taking these into consideration could lead to more detailed understanding and future studies. There are many factors that can lead to juvenile delinquency, and narrowing it down to just poverty and the family structure would be an injustice for everyone. A couple other examples come from peers and overcrowding and underfunded schools. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was informative and created at least a general understanding of how being a single parent living in poverty can affect children and the reasons behind them becoming delinquent. These are the sources that were used to create this presentation.